modern fashion designers, welcome back to class. This is Modern Woman Apparel. I want to say a very big thank you to all my returning subscribers, and if this is your first time here, you're very much welcome. Please join us by hitting on the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so as to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you. So guys, in today's class we are going to be learning the neckline variation. That is how to make different necklines, and we'll also be learning how to tighten these necklines to avoid neckline gaping. Gaping means when you have excess around the neckline, when the neckline is loose. So in today's class we are not just going to center on the different necklines, but I'm also going to show you how to tighten the necklines to avoid excess neckline or gaping around the neckline. I hope you understand. For this class, we'll be making use of this armhole princess dart bustier pattern, and we'll also be using our basic bodies, our upper basic bodies pattern. This means that whatever pattern you're making use of, be it a bustier pattern or a normal basic bodies pattern, you still need to tighten necklines when necessary. And if you'd like to see how these patterns were made, this is the princess dart bustier pattern, and also for this basic bodies pattern, we have the link to the tutorials on the comment section. So for us to start, first thing you need to note is your neckline. Now what I mean is, this is the starting line of this is the shoulder line here, and this is the basic neckline. So this is the basic neck width, and this is the basic neckline. Now at this very point, the neckline, the neck depth is not really necessary, but you need this neck width. It's very important. Now what I mean is that for you to make any neckline of your choice, so long as you're making use of this pattern, you need to get your basic neck width first. And how do you get that? By dividing your bust circumference by 12. So for this, I'm making use of 3 inches. That is the neck width of this measurement I'm having here. So you need your neck width, and from there you connect your shoulder slope. Now this doesn't mean that the neck width of the outfit you're making should be these 3 inches or the figure of your basic neckline. No, the most important thing for this is for you to get the highest point of the shoulder, which is your basic neck width. Now if I'm making a wider neck width, what I'm going to do is to start from here. So let's say this is 3, and let's say I'm using 4. This is 4. So my 4 is going to start from this shoulder slope I have here. I'm not going to start measuring my 4 from here on this straight line here, and from here I'll start connecting the, and from here I start doing my shoulder slope like this. You can see this is very wrong, because this gaping here, excess here that you would have eliminated through getting your basic neckline, you have that excess on the neckline of your dress or whatever you're making with this. So the most important thing for us to do is to get your basic neckline, your basic neck width, and also get your shoulder slope. Now every measurement that exceeds these 3 inches or whatever your basic neckline is comes on the line of this shoulder slope. I hope you understand. So if I'm still going to use 5, so this 5 will come on the line of this shoulder slope and not on this starting line here. And I'm not going to start taking my shoulder slope from here. I hope you understand. Now having said it, what I'm going to do now is to trim all this excess paper, and let's get into this tutorial. So guys, for us to start, first neckline we are going to be treating is the scoop neckline. Now you can see the picture on the screen. This scoop neckline can be deep or high as you want, but one thing you should note that in as much as it is deep or wide, is going to need a neck tightening. So for this, you have to determine, or you ask your client how deep or how wide they want their neckline to be. So for each of these necklines that we'll be treating on this class, you're going to be asking your clients for what they really want. Now for this, I'm going to be making use of 4 inches, 4.5. Remember, this can be wider than this, and it can also come in more than this. So I'm going to be using 4.5 there, and I'll be using 7 inches here. And what I'll just need to do is to connect. So having connected this, now you can see that this is wide. By the time you open this up, you're going to notice that this is wide, so it needs tightening. Note that this can also be wider than this. You can decide to go out more than this, like extend it this way. It all depends on what you're trying to achieve. So you can see it depends on what you're trying to achieve. Now, the most important thing you need to note that you have to tighten this, otherwise it will gape. Now, to tighten this, let's say we are making use of this first one here. All you need to do is to direct. Now, for every of your tightening, you have to direct it to the nipple point. When you are tightening the neckline, you have to channel it to the nipple point. So this is what I mean. Just pick any point on this neckline here and channel it to the nipple to nipple here. After you've done that for this, you go out by half an inch. So from here, half an inch. So this is the half an inch. Now the next thing you have to do is to close these darts. By so doing, you have eliminated any excess that this neckline will have by the time you're done making this dress. I hope you understand. So by the time you close it up, you are not replacing it anywhere on this neckline. You are closing it up. You do not need it. So to do this, first thing you have to do is to open up this waistline here. And by the time you open it up, you close this up here. Close it. Use your tape to seal it up. Then you blend back the neckline. So this is it. You blend back this neckline. So after blending it up, the next thing to do is to cut out your neckline and use your pattern tool and transfer your patterns to your fabric. I hope you understand. But when it is extremely wide, as you can see on this very one, all you need to do is to tighten this by 0.75. So tighten it by 0.75 instead of half an inch. I hope you understand. So having done this, what I'm going to do now is to cut out this so that we'll see the neckline. So guys, after cutting it out, this is what we have. You can see how wide it is. Now you can also decide to make it wider by following the second line. So I'll also cut out the second line for you to see what you will have. So guys, you can see what we have. This is a scoop neckline. So note that same thing applies to this very pattern here. If you're to use this pattern for this scoop neckline, let's say you're making a princess dart bustier with this, all you also need to do is to blend same way you did this. So let me show you how to channel your dart leg. So guys, you can see what I have here. After getting your desired neck depth and neck width for this, all you need to do is pick a point there and channel to this bust point line here. So just channel and also take your dart. And after that, you open this up. So open this part up and close here. Close here, then redraw. So it's the same thing whether you're using this very one or you're using this very one. The same tightening you do to the neckline is all the same. I hope you understand. So guys, next on the list is the V neckline. So this can be wider or deeper. It all depends on what you want. So for this, I'm going to be using 4 inches as the neck width and 7.5 as the neck depth. And after inputting this measurement, I'll go ahead and connect this slanted line. So guys, this is it. Now for this very neckline, you can see it's not too deep, so you can decide to take the gaping dart from this part here, or also decide to take it from the shoulder. It all depends on what you want. Now to take the dart on the shoulder, all you need is to come down from the shoulder by half an inch, and from there you connect. And after that, you just cut out the dart on the shoulder. But I like taking my measurement around the neckline part because it helps me to control whatever is going on around the neckline. So I'm just going to pick up a point around the neckline and slant it, connect it to the bust point line. And after that, I'll take in half inch on one part and also connect to the bust point line. So after connecting, this is what you will have. Now the next thing to do is to open up the waistline so that you can be able to close up this dart you have on the neckline. After closing up the dart, you tape it down, then you redraw the neckline as shown. So this is it for this. The next thing to do now is to cut out the neckline. So guys, by the time we open it up, you can see what we have here. The next one is the deep V or the plunging V. Now your V can be this low. It can also come down to the bust point, and it can also come down below the bust point down to the underbust. It all depends on what you want. So for this, go ahead and get your neck width. For this, I'm going to be using 4.5. It all depends on what you want. And I'm also going to be extending the V down to the underbust. So for this very one here, you can see how deep it is. It means it needs more tightening than what you have here. Now what you're going to do first of all is here. See on this nipple point here, because you always have this loose excess on the nipple area, on the bust area. So what you're going to do now is to come here. So I'm doing half inch here, 0.25 on both sides. Remember, you can also do half inch, just taking half inch from this part here, all the same. So first of all, on this bust point here, you take your half inch. You also locate a point around here, this neck part here. You connect it down to your bust point like so, and also take another half inch and connect. After you've done this, the next thing to do is to open. Do not forget, open the waist dart here. And for those of us that are making use of this bust dart technique, do not also forget to eliminate, to close your bust dart. Now for this, our major concentration is on the neckline, so let's focus on that. Now what you are going to do after opening this is to close here and close here. And after closing up the gaping dart, don't forget to use your tape to seal it up. Then you have to redraw to make it straight again. Having done that, you go ahead and cut out your neckline. So this is it. So whatever you have done to this on this plunging V, so even if you're using this basic dart, basic bodice pattern, it's still the same elimination, the same gaping and the contouring. So guys, for this we'll be doing the canoe neckline. How to know a canoe neckline or a boat neckline is that the neck is always wider and also the depth is high. Now what I'm going to do here is to come from this shoulder tip here by 1.5. So from this shoulder tip, I'm entering by 1.5 or even 1, it depends. And for here, making use of the basic neckline, which is 3 inches. So the neckline is usually, the neck width is usually wide and the neck depth is usually high. So I'm going to connect. For this, there is no kind of neckline contouring for this because it won't gape. So all you just need is to cut out and this is your canoe or boat neckline. And for this, note that the back and the front have the same neck width and the same neck depth. So whatever you have done to this front, you also do it to the back. So guys, for this, we are going to be using this pattern for both the square neckline and also the rectangle neckline. So for the square neckline, you can decide how deep or wide you want, or ask your client. So for all this neckline, always ask your client how deep or how wide they want the neckline. So it depends on what your client wants. So for this, I'm going to be using 4 inches for this, for the neck width, and here I'll come down by 7 inches. So this depends on how wide your client wants it to be. So this is 4 here, and I'm going to connect. So for this neckline here, please, you do not need to leave it this way. If you leave it this very part here, see here, we gape. So what you need to do is to connect. So just look for a place and connect straight to the bust dart, to the bust point, and take your half inch. This is, you can see that this may be deep, but here is not too wide for the square. Now for this, for the rectangle, let's say you want something wider here. So you can see the picture I have on the screen. The shoulder is very small, so I'll just go in by 1 inch and connect down. Now you can see that this very one is wider than this. For this very one, please take 1 inch. I'm talking from experience. Please take 1 inch. If you do anything below 1 inch, you're going to have this so wide. So for this very one, all you need to do is to take a dart of 1 inch. So let's say we have already used half here. Also put half on this very side. That is 1 inch here. I hope you understand. For this smaller one, we are using ½ inch, but for this wider one, we are using 1 inch. So this is it for the square and the rectangle neckline. Now the next thing to do is for us to open the waistline, the waist dart, and close the neckline dart. After closing it up, you blend. So to make the line straight again, just blend it in to make the line straight again before cutting it out. So I think before cutting out the rectangular one, let's just cut out the square so that you can see how it is before we now go ahead and cut out the rectangular one. So in all, after blending, after closing up the dart, make sure to always blend. So guys, this is it for the square. Now let's go ahead and cut out the rectangle. Don't forget that we use 1 inch for the tightening, and after that just blend and cut out the neckline. So guys, this is what we have for the rectangle neckline. So guys, for the square or rectangle neckline, note that for the back pattern, the same neck tightening you did to the front is still the same neck tightening you do to the back pattern. Now let's say this is the back part. Here you still, while transferring this to fabric, you add your zipper allowance. So this is the basic back part. So for the rectangle, I came in from the shoulder tip by 1 inch, and I'll be using 7 inches for the neck depth. So it all depends on what you want. You can go higher or lower. It all depends on what you want. After that, I'll go ahead and connect the line. If you leave it this way, it's still going to gape on the back part. So the same one, remember when we did the square I did, so the square somewhere here, ½ inch. So by the time you're doing this square, you're using ½ inch. So on the front, and the same ½ inch, you're going to apply it to the back of this. Now this is the basic dart that this back has, right? Now I'm going to apply the same ½ inch here. So this is 0.25 here, 0.25 here, and I'm going to connect it to meet with this dart. Now, why I'm replacing the dart here on the waistline, I won't replace the dart here. So don't make mistake of replacing the dart you took away here. The essence of this is to tighten here, so you do not need to replace it. Now for this, remember we did 1 inch on the front. You also do 1 inch. So this is, so extend your dart leg up to the neckline and also take your 1 inch. So this is ½ inch here, ½ inch here, and you connect down to this. So guys, this is it. Now in this case, all you need to do is to eliminate the darts finally from the waist to the neckline, so that by the time you are transferring this to pattern and by the time you're sewing this dress, you will not have any dart line showing on the back. If you've been following me, you notice I normally do this when necessary. So after closing it up as shown, just use your tape to seal it up, and also blend the neckline up if you notice any shift. So this is the back. You add your zipper on this part here, add all your necessary seam allowances. Now let me just open up this dart, but please do not open up the dart. Now let me open it up to show you this. Now what you're going to do is, while replacing your dart, replace from the chest line downwards. So replace whatever you have on the chest line and on the waistline, and if you have the underbust line, replace just from the chest line downwards. But please do not replace the dart here to put somewhere around here. No, just from this chest line downwards. I hope you understand. So guys, next on the list is the wrap neckline. So all you need to do for the wrap dress, now for each and every one of these other necklines that we have done, you can draft them on a single paper, just on one part of this paper. But for this wrap, it's compulsory you need to put your paper on fold while drafting it. But for each and every one of the ones we have already done, you just need only a single paper to do your work. I hope you understand. So guys, for this, all you need is to open up your paper and use your pencil to highlight the center of your paper. And after that, the next thing to do is to determine the depth of your neckline. You know, by the time this wrap crosses each other, it becomes like a V neckline. So the depth of your neckline is where you want the V neckline depth to be. Now for this, I'm taking 7 inches as the depth, and I'm going to rule a line across that 7 inches. Now this wrap can either be in two forms. You can decide to start from your nipple to nipple, that is, so this is the nipple to nipple here, or you can decide to divide your waist measurement by 4. So by the time you divide your waist measurement by 4 here, so the dart is also included in this, so you can decide to divide your waist measurement by 4 here. And also for the neckline here, you can decide not to make use of the basic neckline. So I'm having 3 inches here. I can decide to use 3.5 for it. All depends on what I want. Now I'm going to connect this point from here to this point and also to this very part. Remember, you can also make use of where your nipple to nipple is. So this is it. Now for this very one, for you to tighten this is very, very important, else it will gape and you start looking for stitches to tack the both ends together. So for this very one, you can direct the dart anywhere. Now what I'm going to do now is to extend. So you can extend the dart, the nipple point line, that's the bust point line, and direct your dart towards the bust point. But for this, I'm going to extend my dart all the way down so you can see what I'm doing. And after that, I'll just take in, so I'm eliminating 1 inch from this, so I'll just do 1/2 inch on both sides, and after that I'll connect downwards. And having done that, you know, the next thing to do is just to close up the dart and blend back the neckline. And after blending back the neckline, the next thing to do is to cut out. So whenever you close up the dart, don't forget to use your tape to hold it, because you do not need that part of the paper again. After taping this down and blending here, if you also notice a shift around here, you also blend. Now all you need to do while transferring this to your pattern is to use this, put your fabric on fold, and use this very one to cut out 2 pieces of it. By the time you place your fabric on fold and place this one on it to cut out 2 pieces of it, so this is how it's going to be. So this is what you will have. For this very one that you divided the waist measurement by 4 before getting this neckline, but for the one that you started this line here from the nipple point, this is how it will look like. So it's going to, this wrap is going to start somewhere around here. But for this very one here, which we divided the waistline by 4, the waist circumference by 4, the wrap is going to be like this. Can see where this one is, so it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So guys, next on the list is the queen and necklines. This neckline is really trendy and beautiful. Trust me, your clients may walk in one day and request for a cloth with a queen and neckline, so you really need this neckline. So for this, you can make use of a princess dart pattern which you are going to use. You can also use a basic bodice pattern, and you can also use this very one here. So for this, we have already done this on this channel. We have 2 tutorials on queen and neckline using this very pattern. One is a regular bustier pattern and the other is for corset, how to make a corset dress with queen and neckline. So you find the link to the tutorials on the comment section. Now for this very pattern, once you have tightened the under bust and the over bust, all you need to do is from here, from this very dark leg here, you connect. So don't forget you're making use of your basic neckline. So from this over bust that leg, you just connect to your neck width to give you the queen and neckline. So for the center front, you can decide to come in and make it a sweetheart, or you leave it straight. It all depends on what you want. So this is it for this. We already have 2 of it on this channel. You find the link to the tutorial in the comment section. Now we are going to be treating it with an armhole bustier pattern, and we are going to also treat it with a normal basic bodice pattern. Now ignore this. You can see here, this was a mistake. This line stopped here. I hope you understand. Now what I am going to do is, first of all, determine the depth of what you want and the width of it. So let's say I'm using 5 here. And I'll also come down here by 5. So this is 5 by 5. And here, now the depth of this depends on what you or your client want. And let's say, let me use 8 here. So what I'm going to do now is to connect this to this. I use my curve ruler to connect the other points. Now Queen Anne neckline comes in various shapes. So this is it for this very one. Now if you want to achieve this very one we have here, all you need to do is to this line here, you're going to connect it to this very part here. So it's either you're doing the straight one or you're doing the slanted one. So you slant this way to meet with your basic neck width. This way. I think this is the popular one we have. So all you're going to do is, for this, you can see we already have the tightening here. That is why you do not need to tighten anything here. But for this, you need to tighten. When using a princess dart bustier pattern, you need to tighten it, except you're making use of this very pattern here. That is why I brought this to show you the difference. So we are going to tighten this. Pick up on this line here. If you leave it this way, here we gave. So all you need to do is to pick up a point, direct it to the nipple point, and go out by 0.5. Go out by 0.5 and also connect back as shown. Now you open this part up. Before closing this, you open here up, very necessary. Then you close this up. So whether you are using this slanted one or this straight one, you need to blend here. It's very important. So guys, after closing the dart, if there is need to blend this, remember it can also be deeper than this, like this. It all depends on what your client wants. Can blend it this way. So you blend before cutting out. So by the time I cut it out, this is what I have. So guys, this is what we have for this. And if you also want it to be deeper, to have this sweetheart curve here, you go deeper. Just curve your hand to give it that sweetheart curve, so you can see what we have here. And if you want it to be straight, just follow this way. Just cut. And this is it for this one. And if you're using a basic bodice pattern, all you need to do is to determine the neck depth and the neck width of what you're doing. Then you just go ahead and connect like you see me do. With sweetheart, and this is the slanted one. This part here depends on how deep and how curvy you want it to be. So this is it. Now to tighten it, you have to tighten here by also channeling it here. And you have an inch. Open here up the waistline, of course. So the next thing is to open the waist dart, close the neckline dart, and blend. Then you cut out your neckline. So this is what it will look like for the slanted one. And if you're doing the straight one, just follow this line, cut out this line. But mind you, whatever you have here, the width of what you have here on the shoulder will still be the width of what you have on the shoulder of the back part. I hope you understand. Whatever you have here, just follow it to make the back part. And sometimes the back of this sometimes is usually covered just like a regular basic bodice pattern. So guys, the next is the keyhole neckline. I'll be using this pattern for it, so you can extend it beyond your basic neckline so that it's not too tight on the neckline and it's not too close to the shoulder bone, to the neck bone. I hope you understand. So what you're going to do after that is to come down by at least 1.5 inches. After that, you determine the depth of this. So let's say I'm using this 7. Then you connect from this 7 to this part here to your armhole, and from here you connect. So this depends on how big or small you want the keyhole to be. So if you do not want this keyhole to be this open, you can also go up or come down. It all depends on what you want. Now, having done this, if you leave this way, especially when it is this big, you leave it this way, it's going to gape. So the first thing you have to do is to make a dart, 1/2 inch dart on the keyhole. So make a 1/2 inch dart on the keyhole and blend. After tightening here by 1/2 inch, then on this part you can decide to also tighten here. Take away 1/2 inch here, so you must take away that 1/2 inch, otherwise here will also gape. So you can do it here, any point around here on the keyhole, or you eliminate 1/2 inch from this armhole part here. Just cut out 1/2 inch from this armhole part. I hope you understand. So after that, just blend everything in. So because of the thickness of this paper, let me just cut this open so that I can be able to blend. So right now, go ahead and close up the keyhole dart, and after closing it up, I'll just blend it up. Don't forget, you need to use your tape to seal it up. So blend and cut out. So go ahead and cut out the upper part first. And here, can either blend it here or you just eliminate. So by the time you just remove 1/2 inch here, it's okay. I hope you understand. So this is, after everything, this is how it's going to look like. So you have this opening here. I hope you understand. So it's either you eliminate the dart from here or eliminate it from the armhole to avoid any form of gaping. So this is it for the keyhole. So guys, after that, the next is the scallop neckline. So you can make the scallop neckline using the V neckline, the rectangular neckline, and even the scoop neckline. It all depends on what you want, but for everyone you want to make, it's still the same process. So I'm going to be doing this using the V neckline. So all you need to do is to determine the width and of course the depth of the neckline. Next is to determine how big or how small you want the scallop to be. For this, I use 1 inch spacing. You can decide to do 2, 1.5, 1.25, 1 inch. It depends on how you want it. Now on this beginning starting line here, I will go up by 1/2 inch here. So just take it by 1/2 inch this way. And here you can now determine how high you want here to be. So this is 0.75, 0.75. So you are connecting from here down to this place. You can see what I'm doing. And if it's too near, let's say if this 1 inch is too near for you, you can extend it to 1.5. So let me add 1/2 inch to this and also lift here by 0.75. So this is it. I think this is better. From here, another 1.5. You come to the middle of the 1.5. That is where the 0.75 will be. So from there, you draw. So I'll continue drawing till I get to the end. To make your work easier and to make it even neater, all you need to do is to draw a template. So by the time you make a template, cut it out, just use it. Position the template on this straight line and use it to get your scallop. This way, just trace this, place and trace, place and trace, and by the time you're done, you have something like this, even neater than this. Then you trim. So guys, by the time you trim, this is what you have. So this is your scallop neckline. You can see how beautiful it is. For this, you do not need to tighten it. So guys, the last one we're going to be treating on this class will be the halter neck. Halter neck comes in various forms. So you have the one that starts from those neck width to anywhere around the armhole. You also have the one that crosses below the armhole. So it depends on what you are trying to achieve. By the time you leave it this way, it's going to gape around this armhole area. Now what you need to do is to turn it into a princess dart style line this way. So this could be a basic princess dart or a princess dart bustier. Now all you need to do is to take away 1 inch from here. So take away a dart of 1 inch and connect back to the bust point as shown. Now, if you want it to be a basic princess dart style line, you leave it this way. And if you want it to be a bustier, just introduce your underbust line and do your underbust contouring as well. Contouring. So if you want it to be a bustier, it's going to be like this. And if you're using this for a bustier and you're wondering how much dart you want to take care of, we already did a detailed tutorial on princess dart pattern and also an off shoulder or a bustier with yoke, and we already explained the amount of dart needed for different bust and cup sizes. So you find the link to the tutorials on the comment section. Now do not forget that you have to open this place up to the bust point, so slit it to the bust point and close here. Now close it first, and after closing you can see that I have shortage here. All you need to do is to blend it back. So just blend it in. Remember, your halter neck can also come down below this part. It all depends on what you want. So guys, this is it for this class. In our next class on necklines, we'll be treating the monostrap neckline, the asymmetric, and all other necklines. So please, if you're yet to subscribe to this channel, kindly hit on the subscribe button because you'll be learning a lot from this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, share. I'll see you in my next tutorial. I'm Modern Woman. Bye for now.